Life can be so challenging. Where can you go to get divine clarification, help, and advice? Well, may I introduce Natasha Venter, medium, coach, and direct connection to your guides and angels. Through her podcast, Life Clarifications, Natasha will help you navigate through and create your life's destiny. My name is Kevin McDonald, co-host of this podcast, and I've seen her work and know that through her incredible talent, you can be changed forever. So let's start another episode of Life Clarifications with Natasha. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Life Clarification with Natasha. And by the way, in the opening, we say life can be so hard. What do you mean? Life is easy. It's a bowl of cherries. It's a cupcake, ice cream. It's with cherries on top. It's easy, right?
Well, I know perspective helps a whole lot. And I am Natasha Venter, and I'm a medium intuitive personal awareness coach. And many who know me, I'm grateful for whoever watches and whoever can comment and whoever wants to talk to us about things. I am open to just wanting to support and help. And I do a lot of work, even if I'm not paid, to help someone get through what they're going through. And I know that when I have a session, that to honor myself, I do charge, just because I've done a lot of work to get to where I'm at. It's been a life lesson. It's been a life work. And, you know, like anybody who goes to college and gets paid, well, you know, I went to my college and I got paid. And so it's just one of those fine lines, but I'm still me. I'm still doing what I do. Like I work in an elementary school during the day. And during the school timelines and stuff like that. And, you know, maybe I walk by a classroom and all of a sudden I'll just hear stop and I'll peer in and I go, and I'll get a kind of an overview glance of somebody's energy. Not that I tap in unless I get permission, but everybody kind of has a signature of who they are. And I just say, thank you for what you're doing. I know you're trying to do your best. And, you know, just know that you're doing your better. And that's all you can really do right now. And I just want to send my appreciation for you right now. And then they go, oh, thanks, I needed that. And then, you know, but then I say, I got to move on. I got to get to somewhere where I'm supposed to be. And I move on. And that's who I like to be, is just to support somebody through whatever they're going through. And if I can do that, I'm grateful. And then Mr. Wonderful Kevin here, McDonald, is our co-host who does support me in conversations, because sometimes I can say something and it's like there might be a little more clarification needed. That's why my email is Angelic Clarifications, because I'm here to help clarify life. And so with that, that's who we are.
Very good. I'm glad you clarified that. So how are things with you, my dear? Your energy seems a little kerfluffled. Is it
kerfluffled?
That's a new word. I just made it up.
Actually, I love it, and I think I've used that word too. Because I think it's a word that's been around. It's just certain people have only used it. My kerflunkleness is that, you know, transitions aren't always easy.
Nope, they're not.
And when we're in transition, and I've talked a lot about transitions, but there's different types of transitions. And so like now, instead of moving my kid, I'm going, the elementary school that I'm involved with, we're going back hybrid instead of being remote. And so now there's the politics of, you know, what the district knows it has to do because the state is telling it to do it this way. And then there's the politics of it coming down to the principals. And then the principals have to look at their individual schools because, you know, certain schools don't have certain room and certain rooms don't have certain availabilities to do that the rules say that we have to do. So then it's that shifting and changing of what we need to do. And then in the midst of all that, not everybody's going to like those choices. And so how can we navigate those choices and know that sometimes we just got to walk through them and see what they really are going to look like. Because like right now we have a small playground, but we have a pavement area and a bark grass area. Well, half of our bark area floods because of the drainage in the area, and then our grass gets real muddy. And so it's kind of a catch-22. It maybe sounds like there's more room on the bark in the grass, but there's not. And having to have like the kindergartners on one and the first grade on the other, and it's just interesting how to balance it out. And I'm kind of grateful that my principal is able to say, hey guys, us two duties, because I'm on campus safety, how can we manage this a little bit better? And then she has to be the principal and make the choice. And there's a choices I'm not liking, but yet it's like, I'm in the system. I got to work with the system because life is called system.
What do you do with the kids when you might want to turn your speaker down just a touch? But what do you do with your kids if the playground the cement is not very big and you've got a lot of dirt and stuff and bark and stuff? Where do the kids go? How do they do they still allow them to do like monkey bars and that kind of thing?
The playground area is the bark area, and there's the slide and monkey bars, and then we got like a dome that kids can play on, and then we have something called it's a pit that you can play a ball game with, and yet you can't have any balls out there. You can't have any, like we have a tetherball area, but you can't have any of that stuff because of contact tracing. Touching, somebody touch their nose and then touch the ball. But yet at the same time, they're climbing on monkey bars, they're climbing on the slides. But like the last 2 days in Washington State, it was pouring down rain. And so it didn't matter if you were on the bark or on the blacktop, because if you went down the slides, your body end would be slightly really wet to sit on for the rest of the day. So the kids made wise choices and not slide down the slides. It was pouring and raining, and it's sad because really we only have one small covered area on the blacktop. And so it's like the kids have to be out in the rain, and we've made the choice if it's really blistery, windy, cold, and it's just really miserable, that we'll do 15-15 so the kids at least can get the choice to go under covered area. But we would have to that means that one group would have to get wet. Both groups get wet, if they're going to stand out in the rain. So it's just kind of, there's no win situation. But that's the thing in life. Really, is there an all-win situation? Because like Kevin, you're doing something that you really love. And you're helping, you're supporting, kind of like you're doing with me. But you have your own My Independence report that you're interviewing other people with. And now you've gotten a whole bunch of people that you want to work with. But that means that, you're doing something that you love. Yet at the same time, now you've got a lot of love that you're doing. And it's getting a little bit probably wearing, because, after the third interview, which is me,
it's a lot of work, but it's Natasha, it's a thing of love that I could do. I did 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And this is about the same when I do 3 in a day, but there's more editing and there's more stuff like that to it. But I really appreciate having the opportunity to talk to people like you, to help other people. And by the way, if you're listening right now and you'd like to chat with Natasha, you can do that. Just go to comments and put something in there, and we will relay that message to her so that you guys can meaningfully communicate. But the whole idea is to make our planet a little bit better. It's so difficult right now. I wanted to ask you, how do the kids, from the kids' perspective, and I'm not talking about the first graders, but the 5th and 6th graders, what is their perspective of what's going on in the world today? Are they kind of weirded out by it all?
Frankly, I have not interacted with that group yet. Yes, I did some, we as a state kind of do quarterly testing. So I've done some interactions with them while testing, but basically it was basically, hi guys, I miss you. How are you doing? You're doing good, and then, it's time to, get on to what we're doing here. And so I really haven't interacted with them. Ask me that in 2 weeks
Okay, good. We will.
because we'll have fourth, fifth, and sixth grade on the same playground that we just have kindergarten and first grade. And we're going to try to manage kids of that age group who have no balls, know nothing that they're doing, walking around on a playground, especially the blacktop where there's only like hopscotch and this kind of ball thing that the PE teacher, or not ball thing, but you can run on different things and different colored balls and dots. There we go. Get the right word in. Get the different dots you can do different games with and that kind of thing. But really, it's like a fourth, fifth, and sixth grader not having basketball, footballs, tetherball. It's going to be a little entertaining.
There would be no point, as far as I was concerned. There'd be no point in going outside and going to recess. If you're just gonna, it's like being in a prison yard. You're just wandering around. I guess we're gonna be out here for 10 minutes, and then
There's tag, but really, you're not really supposed to be that close to someone either. So, but on recess, we cannot be the don't have fun police.
right.
We are allowing them, but if they get into groups, we try to say, hey guys, remember masks and separate a little bit. Remember your trees. We call them trees because you have to stand, arm lengths apart. And so remember your trees, guys, remember your trees. And we try to say it in a light voice, but that's the thing about life, isn't it? That, it's like, oh, why do I have to do this to kids who just want to have fun and play with their friends finally again?
Well, this is going to go down in history as similar to the early 60s when they used to have drills where you would hide underneath your desk to avoid the nuclear explosion. They're going to feel like this is the same thing going through school that they're having to deal with. It's just I feel sorry for the youth of America because they didn't do it. They can't prevent it. They can't do anything about it. And it's affecting their way of life in a great big way. And it has to be affecting their ability to study as well.
I think it is, but you know what though? Walking around the classrooms, even though the kids are only in school 2 days a week and then they have to be online the rest of the time, the kids are actually getting along better. Yes, they're smaller groups. Yes, it's smaller groups, but actually it's been a blessing. The kids actually are sitting in the rooms listening to the teachers. Before this COVID thing, oh my gosh, you should have heard the disrespect in some of these classrooms.
Oh, sure.
It was like kids would stand up and F off the teacher and then, walk out and then go play basketball because we couldn't stop them. And I think that was what this whole COVID sadly had to do for us is to kind of get things kind of righted. The pendulum was swinging too much the other way. We needed to get the pendulum metaphorically in life kind of swinging a little bit more gently.
Yeah, but it's hard to justify 450,000 people dying to get there. Now, in your work and what you do, Natasha, what do you feel that what's the other side telling you that this is all about?
Well, I was just thinking this, Sue, that, you said that each generation has their own trauma. And, like the younger generation had the wars, then, the generation before that. And then we had the generation of the 60s, So it depends on what age group you're in, depends on what navigation you have to go through. And yes, this is pretty amazingly.
It's interesting because Susan just mirrored what you just said.
Yeah, and I kind of read because I was just thinking what she wrote. We all have something, and every parent says, "Gosh, I'm glad that I'm not raising," or there's an adult somewhere that says, "I'm glad I'm not raising children at this time in the year of life," because there's always going to be something else.
Oh, exactly. Hey, since it's just you, I, and Susan on right now, can I try an experiment with her?
Sure, if she wants to.
Well, what I was thinking was I could send her an invite and and see if she wants to come on to the stream itself. So I don't know if she'd want to do that or not, but she probably is going to run away now. But
she just won't comment about that. No, but so going back to what you asked about this is that I have an understanding that just like what I said about the kids having disrespect, just like we just went through our previous president, we all needed a reset button. We all needed something to check in with ourselves. Because I know that I was witnessing many people, which I'm actually doing what they were doing before, where, they were running from kids in school to sports to eating, dinner on the go to coming home, trying to get homework done, and then off to bed. And then with all this going on, that I just told you that
that's
it's
all right.
just
I'm not wearing pants.
we needed this reset button, and the reset button was going to be not easy because of the way we were just so, I want to call it numb in some ways to what were we really trying to be in life. Many families were getting very dysfunctional. They were losing the fact that, like I grew up, even though we didn't play a lot of games, but we at least had community together. There's been times where my dad would put on some here's aging myself, a record, and we would just have music on, but it was something mutual that we all liked. And or the one night I would like this, the next night he would like that. There was just these things that we did together that had community. And I'm hoping and praying that a lot of those families that had, I'm going to call it dysfunction, maybe a little bit of alcoholism in their family, or maybe it was a workaholic, or if it was someone who had anger management problem, or someone who had a little bit of something. And then I'm going to flip the coin over. That maybe if the family was wanting to spend more loving time together, but responsibilities were in the way, a job and that kind of stuff, that I'm hoping that this kind of righted, it's something that was off kilter, righted it up to where things even if it was, like the alcoholism in a family, that even though maybe it got harder, I'm hoping that there was something that somebody would have to see in themselves to say, I have to change it. Yeah. I'm praying for that for me, I even noticed little things that I had to do. It was like, okay, I have my day job. I have this scenario that I'm really loving to do. And those two things are almost full-time, full-hour days. At the same time, though, I'm married to a wonderful man, and he deserves that honorship. And so I'm working on how can I spend that quality time for him, even though, like, I do daily posts, and a lot of times I'm doing that during dinner, and yet I'm willing to stop and talk and interact, but at the same time, though, I'm preoccupied getting down what I want to write and then posting it. And I wish I had different time of the day to do it, but it doesn't come to me sometimes until that time of the day. And so it is about trying to find the balance. And, that's where, love is that interesting balance of how can we find loving time for ourselves, loving time for our family, loving time for our responsibilities, and then loving time for our dreams, our wants, our hobbies. And a lot of us don't have time really for our hobbies anymore. And we didn't really have time for them before, but we kind of sometimes had a chance to filter them. But sometimes it was like going out and painting with some friends, or scrapbooking with friends, or playing basketball with friends, or doing something, or going to the going in and going to work out at a club, and you would just meet up with your friends at that time. There was these things that we enjoyed doing that basically had to stop, and we had to really find out, what did we want to do? Who are we? Where are we going to go with this? Not everybody wanted to see that mirror.
Do you think everybody?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke up during that.
Do you think there are a lot of people that are that deep, or are they just wallowing in the reality of what's going on with their day-to-day existence?
I think there's like maybe 40% that are more aware, and 60% that are wallowing. And I slipped into the grocery store in between this and that. And there's, my kids worked at the same grocery store. And so I know a couple of the coworkers that have been there for a long time. And so there's one that walked by, and it's like, having conversation with him, and he says, I said, "How you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm doing great. I'm turning this shed into my little home away from home, and I built a fire pit where my, wife and I can sit down next to each other and have a fire. And like he says, we can just stay right here and do this." And then later I cooked up with him in the store because he was doing different jobs. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I love sausages. I love this area of the store. But my wife doesn't want me to eat them anymore. But that's when I go to my shed and I eat my hot dogs."
What now? Why would he not want her to eat, or why would she not want him to eat sausages? Maybe they were too spicy, or
a lot of that the cheaper hot dogs are not made with the best products.
Oh, be still my foolish heart, really?
I know it's in Bachelor Man 101, isn't it? Eat that stuff.
Yeah, well, no, I used to make that stuff. I was in the restaurant when I was in doing chicken, and so I can tell you that's got everything, including the dust off the floor.
Yes.
Sausages. So that's like, ugh, I don't do those. Haven't for years.
Yeah, I don't either. I've never been able to eat a hot dog.
What type of, you said records? What music did you and your dad like to sit and listen to?
My dad, it was the three of us, my dad, my mom, and I. We kind of liked a little bit of everything. It was kind of an interesting, my dad liked a lot of they always liked the upbeat music. Like there was a lot of the bands of the 80s that came on, the Scorpions and Loverboy and a lot of those kinds of bands. And my mom would always tell me, turn it up. It sounds good, And so one time my friend, a friend of mine stopped by the house and knocked on the door and says, "Is Natasha here? It sounds like she is." And my mom goes, "No," because she had turned down the music. So with that, we always listened to something that was just good music. It could have been a little bit jazzy. It could have been a little blues. It could have been a little rockish. It could have been a little of the 60s type of 60s, 70s type of music, because I was born in 66. So, that that era of whatever that was.
Yeah, well, you didn't become musically aware until the mid 70s. Probably.
No, I was very musical aware because during my very young years was the Vietnam War. And so instead of watching TV, my dad and mom would put on music. So it was something that I always heard. And you got to remember, though, and I've said this before in different things, most of my life, I remember more from the ages of 3 and before than I do from, let's say, 7 through 14, 15, 16.
Really, that's interesting. Why would that be, do you suppose?
My soul was very strong in my life. It wasn't about me being human here. It was about my soul doing work here this lifetime. And so I remember being born. I remember writing my contract coming in. I remember my mom picked me up out of the crib. I remember going to work with my dad. He used to carry me on his shoulders because he used to read meters. And so sometimes he would take me with me when my mom worked. And I just remember doing a lot. I remember stubbing my toe when I was small enough that I could still ride on my dad's back, or on my dad's shoulders. So I was like 4 years old because my dad was only 5'6", 5'7", 130 pounds. So he was not a tall man that I could be on his back or our shoulders for very long.
Oh, wow. But you don't really remember because see the Vietnam War ended in 1975. So in the early 70s that would have been appropriate because you would have known that you would have been what 6 you would have been 9 in 75, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have been aware of the last couple of years, and the last couple of years were pretty horrific.
Yeah. And I remember that, because of the way that the TV was positioned, it was on a roller cart. So we can turn it to the front room, or we can turn it to the kitchen. And I remember my dad turning it off and then turning on music.
Oh, sure. Well, in those days, Walter Cronkite was the only real news authority. And Susan has got a question for you. I know you're reading it now. You want me to read it for our listeners?
Sure, please.
Okay, Natasha, I always loved all sorts of music, but my mom would only listen to classical and would only play classical on her violin with no other genres. Why was she so inflexible about music? Obviously, she loved it. You would think she would love all kinds.
There's sometimes where music is such a vibration. I'm going to call it that. And that vibration can be either, it's kind of like a bell ringing or wind chimes. You either like them or you don't. And that many a times when we are going through something, trauma, drama, and taking a snapshot of what your mom was like, that she didn't have an easy life, and maybe that classical music was the only thing that didn't stir her. Also, if you think about it, sometimes if somebody wants to put on a persona, that at that time, maybe classical music had a persona of higher class. And if that higher class gave them more, classical music, people who had studies would use that kind of music to show their art. Where somebody who was just on the guitar was not an artist, at that time. And so with that, now it doesn't matter what you do, you are an artist. But at that time, you kind of were pigeon-toed into, if you studied classical music, it kind of had a language to it to somebody else. And And if somebody wasn't comfortable in their own skin and they wanted to put on a persona, it would really kind of set forth this, well, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to talk myself into it, even though maybe secretly she maybe liked other music, but yet she wouldn't show that because of the persona she needed to do.
And Susan was saying that maybe she thought it had to do with her appearing higher class and above it all, if you will. Which is I suppose possible, but I would think that if you took the time to learn how to play violin. By the way, Jimi Hendrix he's arguing with you right now from the other side that he wasn't an artist. You're in big trouble with Mr. Hendrix, I'm telling you.
I am honoring everyone who can play guitar. Anything. It doesn't matter what they do, they are an artist. And that's the thing is I'm wide open. Heck, I hear some, like I listen to Joe Bosmana and talk about an artist, it's like, and, all these people who, you look at the way that like even the Beatles came in and they were shunned by the older generation because it was just raunchy music.
They had long hair.
And they had long hair, but that's the thing is that we, if it doesn't fit in our box, we shun it. And that's the thing that we're needing to do is look at what's in our box. Is it really healthy? What's in our box? A lot of times what we're having to do is open up our box and go, ooh, yeah, maybe I need to get a different perspective. Because life is shaking us up to get that a different perspective.
How do you open up your box?
By checking in with what are I'm looking at how to explain this. Okay, so there's a lot of, I'm just going to pick on an industry here, the restaurants, because they've been, oh my gosh, picked on highly in this COVID thing. And my love so goes to you guys because it's not easy to be in an industry or the healthcare industry of gyms and that kind of stuff. That, like our YMCA just built a new building and then the COVID hit and now they got bills on a building that nobody can come in and pay their dues. It's just one of those things that, but many of us, if we really look, we only believe that we can be a waitress because that's all I know. I'm not I'm going to just do a scenario of someone. I don't know this person. It's just a scenario. Maybe this person didn't graduate for high school and they ended up becoming a waitress and it was paying the bills, kind of, but yet, they didn't think they were smart enough. But actually, if they would look maybe that if they were to know that job gave them people skills, that job gave them the ability to multitask. That job gave them the ability to deal with people is another, I know that I just said that, but that's a whole 360 conversation, and yet to know what quality meant. That quality of how you do your job depends on how somebody's going to respect you or not respect you. And, there's a lot of those tools. And I know I'm not mentioning even half of what a waitress would learn from or waiter would learn from their job. But if they apply that language, what other job could they do? What other thing can they think of doing that isn't necessarily just doing the waitressing? And so with that, it is about believing that we can do something different. We just got to take the labels off of things and really start coming down to brass tacks. Oh, I work with people. Oh, I know how to interact with a grumpy person. So I can be kind of like, maybe I can go back to school to be a social worker. There's just these things that we can kind of open up a little bit of a different idea and see. And I'm just throwing things out that, I mean, it's not anything, and it's not one bag that I'm trying to do, but it is about taking what we can do and apply it to someone else, to other jobs. What can we lay over the basic description of one to lay it over the description of another?
But at the same time, there are people that love being a waiter and love being a waitress, and that is their highest calling. So what they do is they end up like in New York in a fancy restaurant in New York City, and they can make some really nice money doing that, and they enjoy. That's how they live their life, and that's what they enjoy. So but as long as you're happy and love what you're doing, if you don't like being a waitress and you're forced into it, that's a whole different thing than if you love the work.
Exactly. It's like somebody would say, how can, like I have a friend and she's like, I love that you are wanting to be on YouTube and on stage and stuff like that to help people. I want to be behind the scenes. And it's like, yeah, it's not about wanting to be on the pedestal and out, on stage. It's because I know I have this inner calling to me to reach more people, to give them support in their day-to-day walk. And that calling is getting greater and greater and greater. And now technology is giving me that ability, which I'm grateful for. But they also keep me in the elementary school right now. My team, my guides and everybody keeps me in the elementary school because there's seeds that need to be planted, or seeds that can be maybe given to an individual so life can help those plants grow of knowledge. So until things even out, I'm doing what I'm doing because that's what my calling is. And that's where we got to move forward is that what is our true calling? And sometimes, like for me, things happen. Like I used to do hair, and I was booked full for 3 weeks solid until my arms decided to say, you're not doing that anymore. I would get so many cramps in my hand would freeze because I would get cramps. I would get migraines and my upper shoulders, my neck. I almost had neck surgery. But what it did is it gave me a chance to be on disability insurance, which actually gave me a chance to come home and be at home with my kids. When my mom and dad got sick, when my uncle got sick, I was able to manage life a little differently because something happened to me that redirected my life to help me to be where I was supposed to be. Now, was it fun having my mom die of Lou Gehrig's disease? No, but I couldn't imagine working full time and then having to take care of her, and then being a mom on top of it. I talk about the insane asylum. My head wouldn't have been where it is, and so with that it didn't matter how many tools I had. I was human going through that process, and not having a responsibility like working helped me.
Well, that's good. You needed that. You needed that to take that time to be with your folks and stuff. So that was helpful. So how do you help people? Because there are people that are listening that they feel stuck. They feel like they're imprisoned at home. They don't feel like they're living the life that they choose to live. How do you help them navigate through that a little bit?
Well, and this, I'm going to try to say this as loving as I can. It's really up to us as individuals to decide if we are going to shift our perception just a little bit. Like I have one person that I know, and she's in fear, and yet she gets out and walks every day. She tries to get out and interact. She has neighbors that one walks in front of the other, or they walk, if they can walk the streets, sometimes you can walk on one side of the cars parked and one on the other side of the car. So they walk together wearing masks and doing what they can do. But she gets out and she tries to get out of in the house. I'm shut in. Oh, crap. She's trying to read books that are more uplifting than depressive. It's they're finding, like she says that she Zooms her son who lives in another state, that she really wants to go see the grandchild and everything, but yet she doesn't want to fly. And I can understand that. I can respect that. That it's not easy to get yourself moving. But I know for me that there was a couple days in there that, especially after I came home from flying, and yes, I had my day job where I was still Zooming with kids, but after a while you do the same thing every day, and it's kind of like you need something else to break up that rhythm. And so, oh yeah, I need to turn on music. But for me, music really makes a difference. There again, it was kind of seed planted in my life, to listen to music when you needed to shift something. And so I would just turn on music. Sometimes it was more Celtic, sometimes it was more rock, sometimes it was more hip hop. It's that whatever works to find that song that kind of navigates you in that mood that you're in. Get yourself moving.
Well, I'm sorry, because hip hop is not music. Sorry.
There again is perspective. Oh, there's some really good. I love Nelly. He's got that rhythm, and he actually helped me a lot with my anger when I was going through some real troubled times. So yeah, no, there's a lot of good hip hop people.
Okay, I'll take your word for that. I can't personally vouch for that. Of course, I'm an old British rock and roll guy, so but that's the way that goes. Susan has another comment, and I want you to comment on this because I want you to address what she calls a Kundalini awakening. Yes, I'm not working outside the home, which has allowed me to go through Kundalini awakening. That's been brutal, making my way through, but every day life is still challenging. No longer brutal, but it's still hard. Explain to somebody who doesn't know what she's going through. What the hell is she going through?
Okay, well, Kundalini arising is basically being thrown through the doorway of an awakening of a spirituality knowing. And that this Kundalini energy it's the arising of, I don't want to call it's sexuality. It's not and it goes with our inner knowing of who we are. It's that awakening into different realms, different dimensions. And so sometimes it's hard to ground or actually be here when you're Kundalini awakening. It's almost like you're in it's like, God, I feel like I need to sleep all day because you're just not really here. Or when you're going through a Kundalini awakening, you're just so hypersensitive to any energy. Somebody has music up and it's like, oh, you're just, everybody goes through it a different way. It's not necessarily a one path deal, but there's some similarities to a lot of them. The Kundalini energy, the one thing that you can, the symbol for Kundalini energy is like two snakes wrapping together, coming forth from the root chakra up to the crown chakra. And so it's that awakening of our root chakra coming up into all our chakras around. And it's not an easy dance for those, especially going from, I know Sue was spiritually inclined, but yet this has really awakened her to, I know Sue, I've done a lot of spiritual work with her. And so just knowing that it kicks your butt into another reality. That's all I'm going to say.
So is this something she wants to do on purpose?
I don't want to say that it's. Well, when I did my Kundalini awakening,
okay.
It was a little different because I already had some dimensional work done. I've already had some knowings of myself in different realms. So for me, it was connecting my physical body to my spiritual work. So for me, that was the work that I was doing, and it wasn't so. Oh, it was kind of around the time that my mom passed away and my dad were passing away. So it was that, and after that. So it was that kind of time when I was just so stirred up, anyways, that it didn't really matter which way I was stirred because I was going to awaken no matter what. And so with that, but the difference was that my lower chakras really, I was always working with my upper chakras. My lower chakras weren't really awake. They were pretty asleep. And so when I woke those up, life got a little different. It was, because those lower chakras are about being human. How do I love myself? How do I love others? How do I do my primal self? And so with that it really helped me to tap into my greater self.
Gotcha. And she also says, I didn't sow specific things to open it. Some people do it. I didn't. It just happened after a major consciousness change during a healing session, very unexpectedly. Didn't do not specific things. Okay, so she just one of those things that just kind of came to her.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that it's kind of like with me getting a massage one day, and all of a sudden, I got the image of my. I have an understanding that we all have different guides, and one of my guides is my elder, and he's dragon. And when he awoken, the image I got was as he was in shackles and held down. And when we started unlocking the keys to the shackles, his scales in my mind, I can't even get it in the full picture. I mean, they were huge. So this dragon, when he got out of his shackles, I was like, "Oh, please don't take down Everett," because I saw his tail go, So he aimed it towards the mountains, but he's huge. And when he awoken, it was like a whole new part of me was like, wow. And now, like, I was house cleansing, and I somebody's house, and I brought up my dragon, and she was like going, I'm eating that one in a dark alley. She says, I gotta go over here for a minute, because it was like that dragon that I channeled was pretty, like she says, it was pretty powerful. And with that, there's things that we do. It could be a massage. It could be walking down the street. It could be a medium session. It could be a past life regression. It could be something that just wakes us up to our greater self. It could have been this COVID thing. I'm hoping and praying that a lot of people with this COVID thing stepped into the spirituality world. It doesn't matter if they went more into religion or that kind of thing. I'm just asking for spirituality, because spirituality is based in love, and love for self, love for others. It could be tough love, but love is still love. It's called taking care of others. So if you have tough love, I don't want you to do that because you're going to hurt yourself. I don't want you to do that because it's going to hurt me. It's that tough love because it's going to, you want somebody to do better. And with that, it doesn't really matter what it is. You can be awakened to this dance. It's because when especially a woman who doesn't really have much thought of themselves being beautiful inside. And Kundalini energy helps you awaken that knowledge of how beautiful we are inside. Men can waken up their Kundalini energy too. It's about beauty inside. It's about finding thyself beautiful. And Kundalini energy has that sexuality, sensuality of two snakes coming together, of blending in that communion with yourself and others. And it doesn't mean to go off with another partner. It just means that you find that communion of sensuality with just being yourself. It's like holding your shoulders back and feeling good about who you are. That's what I mean by sensuality. It's that being proud of who you are, proud of that I am someone who's worthy of being noticed. Not necessarily on a stage necessarily, but I'm one that, as I perceive myself, others perceive me. So I deserve to be perceived as someone who knows something about life. Even if I may not have graduated high school or graduated from here or have a doctorate degree, but we all have knowings. I've met a 3-year-old that was an elder of life. It doesn't matter who we are. We've all got knowings. And so trusting that what we have has a voice, and that's called our sensuality.
Aha. Jeez. Yeah, we need to get you some earpieces, my friend.
I'm looking at some that can help, because I think my mic is getting a little bit worn out, but I need to get some. I can't do those big earpieces for very long. They really
just some earbuds.
Yeah, and I was trying to find some. I was at Fred Meyer, but they're cheaper brand, and I need a better brand. So I'm gonna look on Amazon and see. I don't like to go on Amazon all that much, but yet sometimes we have to.
These days I live on Amazon, so what do you do? I don't go shopping anymore just because I know people that have gotten COVID and died who went shopping, and Paul Ponton was one. They still don't know exactly where he got it from, but the last place he and Jude went were shopping, and they both got it. So it's just we all have to be careful with this thing. So wear a mask, please. Everybody wear a mask. But it's tough. It's a tough thing. Do you want to pull some cards before we go?
Oh, it is that time of the day, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Well, the angels. Whoop! I flip my cards around here. I'm using Doreen Virtue's angel cards. This is backwards. You know that? I'm used to Zoom. Zoom, you go one way. It goes the same way I'm going. So I'm using Doreen Virtue's angel cards. And I am asking the angels to bless us with a message that can help those who are on these crossroads of what should I do? Because I feel like a lot of people are on the crossroads of what should I do? Should I go out and go to the grocery store? Should I go walking with a friend? Should I trust breathing the air outside? Should I engage with going back to work? Should I engage with having the vaccination or not? Speaking of, I gotta email my doctor. It's just all those different things that should we say no to someone when we really want to say yes? Should we be selfish and take that moment away from family to take a breath of fresh air? It's like there's all these wonderings.
I get it. It's tough right now, but all you can do is follow the guidelines and do everything you can to be safe and trust that everything's going to be okay. But you young whippersnappers, you don't have to worry about it quite in the same way that us old folk do.
Yes. Yet at the same time, it's about not being naive. It's like I know that age group is very naive about death and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like this next round is going to be hitting more uniformly. We're going to be getting across hairs of like the Africa and the England or the
It's here.
yeah, it is here, but we're going to be getting the congestion of both of them, and I can't get a read on if we're going to stay in school or not. I'm not too sure.
Well, we here have been really fortunate. We have not, and it's probably some people don't like the way the government's handled it, but they've kept the numbers down here much more than it is in a lot of different places. If they relax it here, though, it is just as easily to come roaring back until enough people are vaccinated. So they need to be careful, and if they need to only keep the kids there a couple of days a week, then that's what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. I don't know. So
well, even us who I personally can't, because I feel like that it's not going to be an EpiPen, just an EpiPen for me. It would almost be like if I got COVID, if I got the shot. I'm just being told intuitively, body wise, I'm checking in, and it's like I can't, but yet I'm still very respectful. I wash my hands, I wear a mask. When, like, I was at the dentist yesterday, I didn't breathe out heavy. You know what I mean? I'm very conscious of what I do, who I'm with, where I'm at, and respect those around me. So, okay, so the first card I pulled, backwards. It's a rye, and she's saying yoga and exercise are essential to your well-being, peace of mind, spiritual growth right now. So in other words, if you're doing a lot of thinking, you need to be physical to process it. We're a physical body who has a mental mind, and we're doing a lot of mental thinking, but being physical helps process it. It helps the body process emotions. So the more physical we can be, even if it's sitting down and just wiggling, it's active. So whatever you can do, be a little active or interactive. Okay. And Rosetta. Yes. And she was upside down. So you have a gift of working with young people, and your divine purpose involves helping, teaching, and or parenting children. What I'm getting about this is it's more about taking care of our own individual inner child, knowing that we can still have the energy and the joys of life, the innocence. And, it's like I bought donuts today. I never buy donuts. I buy donuts maybe 3 times a year, but my inner child kind of wanted a donut. And I have a certain kind that I can eat. I have food allergens that I have to be very careful of. And I have one donut company that I can eat a certain kind of donut with. And so I bought them today because my inner child was saying, can we just have some fun? And also, too, if you have squirrel in your life that keeps popping forward, the animal squirrel is about in having work and play balance. Work and play balance, because they usually have play while they're collecting nuts. And then they bring it back and then they go off and play again. So it's that balance of work and play. And if you see them, also, it's about gathering for another day. So maybe when you see a squirrel and you're thinking about going out and just going shopping and not caring about what you buy, maybe squirrel's telling you, you might want to just buy what you need, not necessarily everything you want. So as an idea for you.
I was worried because you said if you're having a squirrel, and I thought, well, they taste like chicken, don't they?
If you see a squirrel interacting with your life, like running across, like we have them that run across our a fence when I'm driving down my lane, so it's like, a squirrel pops up in your life.
Sure. And
Because
they really don't taste like chicken, by the way. So.
No, there's not very much meat on them. So that's why a squirrel came by today. Yeah, see, Sue has. So this is a Crystal, and Crystal says, have faith and hope because there is something positive and new in the horizon that you can't see yet. So that's the thing, is perspective. Keep perspective a little bit open, because if we are going to see something, something's going to come to us, we have to be open in order to see it. Kind of like if we're driving down the road and we see squirrel running next to us or across our path, it's like, oh, wait a minute. That's right. Work and play, enjoy, plan for another day type of action. So be aware of what life is trying to teach you, because there are things coming in our future. This is going to be amazing when we're done with, well, we're never going to be done, but when we get to the point where we can kind of get into a new normal flow, that it's going to be amazing where we all plop out. I'm just amazing. Okay, so Archangel Michael. It was upside down, though. Imagine that. He says, I'm with you, giving you courage to make life changes that will help you work on your divine life purpose. A lot of us are afraid to be assisted in life with our life purpose because we don't believe that we can. Kind of like going back to me picking on the waitress story. That sometimes we have something greater in us that we can do. Being a waitress, oh, you got my honorship here. It's your hand. I would not be good at that. And I'm grateful that some are great at it and want to do it, because that is an honorable profession. But sometimes it's not honorable to us as individuals. And that's what I'm talking about. Go to that inner calling that your team is trying to help you with. And that's why he was upside down, because not everyone believes that we can have what we truly would love to do in our callings.
Yes, but it can be a step forward to the next place and the next place. I was a graveyard dishwasher at Denny's at 19, and I ended up being a national sales manager of a chicken company. And before I started working in radio. So you can do anything, but it did teach me a lot of poise and how to speak and how to read people and how to look at people in the eye and treat people differently. So whatever you're doing, do it well, work at it, and you'll continue to move forward.
Because have faith, because something's coming in our future, and we have Archangel Michael helping us to get there. Because we all have new psychic abilities. We all have new spiritual psychic awakenings, experiences that are changing the way we view our world and yourself. Allow your spiritual gifts to open through study, prayer, and meditation. We can be walking down the street and get a huge message because animals walk by us or fly by us or interact with us, or we say hi to a neighbor that you end up having a deep conversation. There's things that are happening around us to awaken us to a new understanding of life.
Absolutely, because things happen to us on a daily basis. Excuse me, that's wrong. That's wrong. They don't happen to us. We are presented with opportunities on a daily basis. It's up to us to decide whether to take them or not.
Exactly. And then we have Fiona. Now you're asked angels for help, open to receiving divine guidance and assistance is in your way. because life is going to be there. And the last card that I picked was Sonia. I bring a message from your deceased loved ones. I'm happy and at peace, and I love you very much. Please don't worry about me. And I'm going to concur that message because every time I do a mediumship session, especially after someone has a little time to cross over and be, they're fine, they're happy, they're loved, they're held with hands. They're held with hands before they even leave this world. And so just know that your loved ones are in a good place, no matter what they believed in or what they did in this lifetime. They're always held with love.
That's so true. That's every medium that I've ever talked to has got the same basic philosophy of what happens on the other side. Now there are people, I will tell you, my brother was pissed as hell when he got there because he was expecting one thing and he got something different. It's like, what the hell do you mean everybody gets to come here?
Yeah, because he was stuck in a very closed religious idea.
Narrow, religious, rigid idea of what it is. And when he got there and he said, wait a minute. Are you telling me that my brother, who is a heretic and stuff and believes in spirituality and all that, he's coming here too? Yeah. Well, So he was a little irritated about all that.
But we all come to this planet to have an experience. And if that was his experience, he learned a whole lot about it.
He did. He had it, but that's why I was talking to Kim Miller, who is also a gifted medium, just like you are, and she said, "Well, you need to give him about a year. He's got a lot of stuff to work through. So we're just gonna let that be for a while and stuff, and we'll go from there." And Natasha, it's always fun to talk to you, and it's always fun to talk to you on Wednesday afternoons. And is there anything else that you would like to tell everybody before we go bye-bye?
I would like just to readmit about these, especially these two cards, that have faith and hope because there's something positive and new in the horizon that you just can't see yet. Because Archangel Michael is, I am with you, giving you courage to make life changes that will help you work on your divine life purpose. No matter who we believe in, what we believe in, we all have support of guides, angels, and loved ones who are helping us move forward. And if we can just trust that and listen to those little whispers, the songs that are on the radio, the animals that fly by, the rainbow that's in the sky, that inner voice that says, get up, go through the door. And sometimes you need to just look outside the door and see what's really going on, because maybe there was a ladybug that was on the front door. And the ladybug is about making wishes and dreams. And you never know. It's just one of those things. But I want to let people know, too, that next week, February 9th, I have a class that's coming up that will help bring in inspirations, help bring in new understandings, help write new contracts for what we want to do in life.
Now that's next Wednesday, is that right?
What's that?
That's next Wednesday.
Next Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday? Oh, okay.
It's next Tuesday.
All right.
And with that I would love to support someone in getting there. So if you mention a video and you bring a friend, it's only $10 for the class. So please come, because I want to give everybody an opportunity to start new. And I have rewritten many contracts to bring new in my life. Guess who's on YouTube now because of it? So believing and trusting is a new way to live, because something wonderful is going to happen if we so choose to have that perspective.
That's absolutely true. So
my love is with everyone, and I do pray that we can all find grace and ease in this life of ours.
Oh, it's not that tough. We can all have grace and ease.
Or grassy knees.
You can have that too. You can have grass stained knees. You get
Yeah.
you get to pick, or muddy. Everything is just the way it is. And Veronica says, "I love you, Natasha."
And back to you, my dear. I love you too. Veronica and Susan have both been with me. They have seen me start out and be here where I am at today. And I'm grateful for them to be my witness because they've seen me struggle and they've seen me work, and I've helped them work through their struggles, and they've come to amazing places. Veronica, both you and Sue and Veronica have opened up. I'm in awe of how they've just become an amazing people.
It's amazing.
Good job, girls.
Yep. So do they have boys along with them that you need to get them going too?
Well, that's their own choice.
Okay, that's a whole different conversation.
That's a whole different conversation, and not to have one here.
I got it.
Unless they choose.
We can record it and send it to people, We have that ability. So in any event, thank you so much. And thank you, Natasha. Anything you'd like to add before we go?
You can reach me at angelicclarifications.com or Natasha at angelicclarifications.com. And yes, Sue, I understand that statement. I'm praying for that day, my dear. I'm praying for that day. So angelicclarifications.com is my website.
Oh, very good. And we're going to be here next week on Wednesday. Any idea what you're going to talk about then? And one of these days, my dear, what I'm going to ask is that I'm going to start producing these for you, and we're going to ask someone like a Susan to man up and to come on board with you and to do some stuff and to broaden their horizons a little bit. So Susan, I'm going to start bugging you about that.
Only if they want to. I would love people to listen, and they don't have to feel sabotaged either. So
they have to feel
she said yes. So good job, Sue.
Yeah, there comes a point in time when you have to, when you're on this walk, you have to step out to believe and to do what you know you can do.
And Sue has quite a bit that she's got a family member that if she talked about that situation, that she can help out a lot of other people too. So there's some things that she's done that I think is very valuable to someone, and I would love to have her on as a guest. Well,
and you see and see, there you are, and I'll stay here and produce it for you, but I don't need to be on with you. You need to have other folks that come here and stuff, and we can work that out. So
yeah.
So Sue, you said yes. I'm going to hold your ass to it. I'm sorry. I'm going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
I hope that you know that I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. So here you are.
My love to everyone. Have blessings, and just know that tomorrow can be another moment where something amazing can happen. But it's up to us to have that perspective, to be there to witness it. So my love to you.
Just happened to somebody today, so that's really good news. We'll see you next time.
Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we've got. See you next time on My Independence Report.